We are here, the Customer Experience World Games, and we are with the incredible Neil Shah. Neil, hi, how are you? And welcome to the Customer Experience World Games.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Well, look, you're doing some incredible work on behalf of many in society who are finding, not just now, but finding life can be a real challenge to kind of live with. And you're reaching out and touching so many organisations, institutions, governments here in the UK and much further afield, hoping to raise awareness and create a better understanding and change. And we're so privileged to have you at the Games and being able to help if we possibly can. So I'd like to just hand the mic over to you, and if you'd like to introduce what you do and how you do it, to give the players an appreciation of the incredible contribution you make to society.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. So as you said, my name is Neil Shah. I run two organizations. One is a non-profit organization I set up in 2003 called the Stress Management Society. Essentially, I brought that organization into existence to help to create a happier, healthier, more resilient world, a world ultimately that doesn't need the Stress Management Society. So we're actively working to make ourselves redundant. We've been working on that goal for coming on to 2 decades now, but it's sad for me to say, through no fault of our own, through no lack of effort or not trying, we seem to be further away from that goal today than when we came into existence in 2003. Because for a variety of different reasons, the world has become a more challenging place, a more stressful place. That's become even more pronounced over the last 18 months. I'm also proud to say that in that almost 2 decades since we've been in existence, we've taken very little in the way of public funds. All of our non-commercial activities are funded by our commercial programs through another organization I set up, which is now called International Wellbeing Insights, that we do consultancy and strategic programs with some of the largest companies on the planet, including big clients at the moment. We're working with companies like Philips Electronics, DHL. We've worked at a national level with countries around the world, even working with a new division that the Saudi government sets up called the National Committee for Mental Health. Now, again, going into countries that have no background or no record of doing any kind of work around stress and mental health and emotional well-being, and really getting them to get started. And a lot of people say, why would you go to a country like that? Well, because they need it. So we are willing and able and committed to going to some of the most challenging environments on the planet, as well as looking at some of the most challenging communities and aspects of our own neighborhoods and communities here in the UK and throughout Europe. And in that period of time since we came into existence, we've had the opportunity to work with hundreds, if not thousands, of different organizations around the planet, and literally impact millions of lives through the broad variety of programs we've run, through the resources and information we make freely available, through some of the content we've produced, and also through working with organizations like the BBC and Sky News to get positive information out there, to do research and share that with the widest possible audience, to ensure that we start to understand how the way we live our lives and the nature of the life experience as it changes over time, how we are best equipping people to be able to navigate these rapidly changing and uncertain times that we find ourselves in, particularly one within which many of us feel a sincere lack of control. We often feel powerless because things are happening outside of ourselves that we have little control or influence over. And as much as I'm now qualified and accredited in a variety of different things, from a number of psychotherapeutic approaches and mental health approaches and counseling and coaching and a variety of other things, my background expertise is not the certificates I have on my wall and the qualifications I've gained. My background experience is firsthand. So I started this organization off the back of, at the age of 28, I went through an experience where I lost everything. When I say lost everything, I was running a very successful business, which I started from scratch at the age of 24, turned it into a multi-million-pound enterprise with offices in different parts of the world. Very, very successful. But I went through an experience where in a very short period of time, I lost everything, lost the business, money gone, cars repossessed. Most people I thought my closest friends turned their back on me. The person I was in a relationship was cheating on me. So everything that I felt defined me, that I held dear and true, disappeared. And at that point, I felt like I had nothing left. And in the depths of that experience, I got to the point, well, if I've got nothing left and there's nothing left to define me, I don't want to be here anymore. And I actually attempted to end my own life. It ended up becoming a very powerful seminal moment in my life. People often describe it as a breakdown. I now see that it was a breakthrough, because I had to get to that point of losing everything and not wanting to be here anymore before I realized what was important, but also to realize that whole experience was a gift. And through me being provided that gift by the universe, it gave me the opportunity to do something to help other people that might go through the same kind of thing. It wasn't a dark moment in my life. It was actually my calling. It showed me my ikigai, my very reason for being. And that's why, for me, this isn't just my job. This is why I'm here, and why myself and the team I built around me are so passionate about the work that we do, because we get to make a difference. And the reality is, what I went through, how many people have experienced that over the last 15 months? Where they've got to the point where they've lost everything. They've lost their way of life, their livelihoods, their businesses, relationships. They're going through a period of loss like no other in living memory. And with that in mind, the work that we do is more important today than it's ever been. The challenge I'm facing, though, is it's taken its toll on myself and the team, because only so much we can do as a team of 8 people based in London. We have a global spread of clients. We've got consultants around the world that are working on our behalf, delivering our programs. But there is way more than we can cope with. And I think it's got to the point where we're so busy looking at the issue, we can't see the wood for the trees. And it's getting to the point where we recognize if we are really going to be able to make the difference, we know that we can. We've got the content, the approaches, the methodologies, the IP that we've developed. We're so busy doing, we haven't had the chance to really work on developing our organization and developing a strategic approach which allows us to reach more people and make more of a difference. And I guess that's how we ended up talking. We're good at what we do. We care about what we do. We're passionate about what we do, but we just need some help to scale it up so we can reach more people and make more of a difference.
And Neil, it's an incredible story you tell, and thank you very much for sharing that kind of intimacy with us. It gives us an appreciation of just how important this is to you. But also, it's not lost on me that, you know, the position you're in where you're helping others, for you to turn and reach out to us to say, can you help, is a significant thing. So to entrust us to look at this challenge for you and look at the scalability in order for you to continue to do the work you do is a great privilege. So thank you. Let's just talk a little bit about that challenge then. So as we see it, we're a band of customer experience volunteers. We can help improve the experience that you provide to your customers. And I know the great work you do on the corporate side allows you to complete some of the incredible volunteer and charity projects that you're involved in, helping parts of society that others don't reach. So we know the great work this does. But as I understand it, the way it works at the moment is that you will engage with a CEO of a large corporate, and then there's a lot of you time involved in assessing exactly what their current state is, understanding just what the impact of neglect on mental health provision is doing to their organization. And that will then allow you to provide a detailed, customized recommendation, which will allow you and your team to then help get that organization to a point where it is a topic that is open and being discussed and being actively managed. And that is not something you can continue to scale whilst at the same time, clearly you and your team and the passion you have is the experience the organization wants. So my understanding is what we're looking to do is to try and bring your personality, your capability. You say you've got the content, that's all good, but just bring that to a wider audience, which logically is an automated format of that, without losing that really important characteristic in what you do, which is that human connection. And after all, that's part of the solution as well. So have I summed that up correctly, or is there more you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit. You have summed it up very, very well, to be fair. At the moment, we're doing a lot of trading time for money. And as a small team, that means that we very quickly get to capacity, and there's only so many hours in the day. And also, given the fact that we're working across a global spread of clients, we've got time zone challenges, which means it's early starts and late evenings. And also days of the week are different because we've got a big spread of clients across the GCC region in the Middle East. So there's only so much we can do and keep throwing hours at it. there is a big chunk of what we do that could be easily automated. And I think the word that I came up with the last time we spoke was processify. I don't know if that's an actual word, but I think it's the best word I can find to describe what we want to be able to achieve. Where we are able to add significant amounts of value is the interpretation, the consultancy, and the strategic input, and not the actual kind of grunt work of processing data and all that kind of thing. So essentially, just to clarify, our approach is very much what we describe as a well-being GPS approach. For your car to work effectively, when you want to program a sat nav to get you to a destination, it needs to know, number one, where you are right now and where do you want to get to. Without those two pieces of information, it cannot calculate a route map. It's next to impossible. How can it do so unless it has those two bits of information? Now, anyone that's ever worked with a consultancy organization will know that the consultancy exercise starts with an audit. It starts with an onboarding audit. People give it different names, but essentially it's kind of that data collection piece to get a sense of where are you right now? What have you done? What's working? What's not? What are the challenges you're facing? What does success look like? What are the outcomes you want to achieve? And only then can the consultant create the strategic program to get you to said destination. We approach it in the same way. My background, many of my colleagues have come from consultancy backgrounds, and it's very much go in and to be able to get a sense of where you are right now. And this isn't just about stress and mental health. We're looking at 3 or 4 areas, actually: people, culture, wellness, and the physical working environment. Now, why this is even more important today, the physical working environment, up until 15 months ago, was a physical office. You and I would have been sat in an office. Right now, you and I are both sat, it looks like you're in your home by the setting. I'm in my study at home as well. So work has gone from being a destination to being an activity. That may sound like I'm being pedantic. There's a significant difference there, and that has a significant impact. So part of this is to understand sort of, do we have the right people? Are they well equipped with the skills, tools, resources, confidence to be able to do their job effectively? Do we have the culture that aligns with our mission, vision? These aren't just posters on a meeting room wall. This is kind of what we stand for. And everyone that works here is an ambassador for that. In fact, that's why people join our organization, not just because they've got a job that pays the bills, but because they relate to and aspire to helping us to fulfill our vision, our mission, and the bigger picture. Very much Simon Sinek's start with why, purpose-driven businesses. And the next one is wellness, which is encompassed with physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. Spiritual has nothing to do with religion. It's more connection and belief with something beyond yourself. Organizations that have a purpose or a spiritual belief tend to attract better people and retain them for longer. Social is looking at the collective. Mental and emotional health, we've made it to be an individual problem. Christopher's depressed, or Joseph's upset, or Jessica's really struggling. It's not an individual issue. And as long as we keep talking about it as an individual issue, we will not make any progress. Mental health is a social issue. And as we start tackling it as a social issue, whether that's social across your organization, your community, across your country, or internationally, nothing's going to change. You won't know until there's a problem, rather than being preemptive and being able to talk about it and address it long before it happens. And part of our job is to show companies why it makes cultural and commercial it makes cultural and commercial sense to do so. It's not just a nice to do thing. It's not pink and fluffy. This is what creates high-performing teams, organizations that have better output, better reputations, achieve their goals and objectives, and achieve more success. I have 20 years worth of data to back that up. That's not just me saying that. So being able to show people that there is value and there's a strong return on time, return on value, return on investment by taking action in this area. So by actually giving people kind of that strategic input and aligning these kind of areas, people, culture, well-being, and the environmental factors to the overall business strategy. Now, what I find fascinating, sales, marketing, customer retention, all of these things would be tied to the business plan. But people and culture is often seen as a pink and fluffy, and that's down to HR. And that's very rarely looked at as a strategic proposition. But that doesn't make sense, because people are the most valuable commodity, the most valuable asset in any organization. And so this is really why what we're doing is we're getting people to understand that the importance of this and looking at this not as an initiative. This is not about fruit boxes and employee benefits and EVP and perk boxes and all that kind of stuff. It's not about doing yoga at your desk. This is about how do we maintain and manage the most valuable part of our organization. If you have a company fleet or technology, you'd have service plans and warranties and regular updates and upgrades to your equipment. How often do we do that with our people? Do you have service plans and these kind of things? And in fact, even when you do, a service plan for people will be like an EAP, OC Health, access to counseling. How well are they used? Like, you know, your equipment is regularly going to be serviced, whether it's broken or not. Are we taking that same course of action with our people? So it's changing the mindset, particularly given where we find ourselves today, hopefully coming to the end of this pandemic scenario. I think this shouldn't be further down the agenda. This should be at the very top, because mental health and physical health are two sides of the same coin. People that are mentally compromised are more likely to get ill, have serious health risks, but also from a health and safety perspective, more likely to have accidents, injuries, and sadly, fatalities. So, you know, in many countries around the world, this is recognized under law. In Britain, you know, mental health is looked at as a workplace health and safety risk hazard like any other. And it is addressed under law. And in many countries around the world, it is rapidly becoming the case. So this is why it's not just a nice to do. It's not just something that has a positive benefit to your workforce, but it's something that is your legal and moral obligation, depending on where you live. So it's just getting people to understand that, you know, yeah, you may not really want to do it. It might not seem like a sexy or attractive thing to do, but it's one of the things that is going to yield such a huge amount of benefit to you as an organization, and the return on investment is massive.
I think that's thank you so much for sharing that, because I think it's important the players recognize about how they present it, how they put it forward, because again, you're not going to be there to get that introduction with the CEO of a large organization. So I think you've just brought it to life so well in terms of the kind of the tone and the purpose and the sustainable importance of it, rather than, as you say, a box to tick and we'll just say we've done that now. So, well, look, Neil, I know you've very kindly put another appointment back so that we could talk to you. We will take your challenge. We have over 30 countries represented in the games already. No doubt that will go up. So we've got a huge diverse input of different talents from different walks of life. We've got some very large corporates. We've got some very specialist professionals, and we've got some of the industry's most well-known taking part in this. So I'm very optimistic that we've got 7 teams. We'll have 7 awesome ideas. They will all be yours. We will tie up with you afterwards to find out what your personal favorite was and give your favorite entry an award. And that is just the start of it, because these are not just ideas. These are intended to help you make a difference or continue to make a difference in the areas where you can focus and add the value. And hopefully these initiatives that we bring to you will take care of some of those short-term business challenges that you have.
Chris, I just want to finish by saying that I've been working in this field for a very long time. The last few months have been heavy because of the impact and the toll this has had, the true human impact. But I also feel that out of tragedy comes opportunity. And this is the moment where we get to make a difference, where we get to ensure that people are addressing mental and emotional health in the same way we've addressed physical health. We take it and see it as seriously. Because particularly for the youth and the children that have had to kind of navigate the pandemic circumstances, many of those will be traumatized by life, for life by this, because they may not remember what their life was like before this all started. So there is a lot that needs to be done, and there's a lot of support we need to provide. And I just want to say that as much as this has created an opportunity for us to really get traction and ensure that this is a conversation that becomes more accessible, we start to remove the stigma from conversations in this space. I just also want to thank all of the people that will be working on this challenge up front by saying that, you know, any help that you can give us is going to allow us to reach more people and make more of a difference. And right now in this moment, you know, like, it kind of puts a bit of wind beneath my sails to know that there's people out there that are willing to help us to reach more people and ultimately get close to that goal where the world doesn't need the Stress Management Society anymore, and maybe I can find some other things to do with my time. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be involved, and for all of the people that may decide to help us to come up with some solutions to reach more people.
It's a privilege to play a small part in it. So thank you again, Neil. We look forward to catching up with you later in the games. And until then, take care of yourself.
Thank you.